Welcome back to the program. Self-centered, elitist and kiasu, a colloquial term that means afraid to lose out. And these are just some traits that Singapore residents perceive the society has.
Well, such terms came up in a survey of some 2,000 Singapore residents, citizens and PRs that aim to find out what they value most, how they define society today and what they desire for society in future. The survey was conducted by local organisational development firm aAdvantage Consulting and Britain-based Barrett Value Centre.
To help us make more sense of the survey findings, we have directors of aAdvantage Consulting, Vincent and Jacqueline Gwee, joining us this morning. Morning, guys. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So give us a run through. I mean, are we quite accurate to say those were the terms, elitist, self-centered, kiasu? That's what the Singapore residents and Singaporeans here perceive themselves as. How was this survey conducted? How did we come up with these findings?
Yeah, okay. So what happened was that we actually had a list of words, about 90. Okay, and this, and we actually asked them a few questions. So one of the questions was, how, from the list of words, pick 10, okay, that would actually best reflect themselves. So that's their personal perspective. Then we also asked them, okay, of the another list of about 90 words, 90 to 100 words, pick 10 that best describes, Singapore today. And then the third question, would be, okay, pick 10 that, you would like to see, the desired, Singapore society.
Okay,
yes.
So did they differ between what they see in themselves, the nation, and what they desired in future? How different were they?
Yeah, I think if you look at what Singaporeans see of themselves or what they value today, you see things like, family, health, friendship,
Yeah.
But on the contrary, if you look at how they perceive the society to be, I think what comes out top is kiasu,
Okay.
And of course their self-centeredness.
Okay. So they
amongst
perceive
others,
society to be like that, but not themselves, or how did that compare?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'd like to see it that, these are things that they value, but, probably that's not what they currently experience, or at least what the survey suggests that, that they're experiencing right now. So perhaps there may be a bit of a stress at this moment, arising out of that.
And what do they want to see in future?
Yeah, in the future, if you look at the reports, actually what they like to see, I think, on the top, things like affordable housing, care for elderly, effective health care, amongst others, right?
Okay.
Right.
What do you think this says of the country? What do you think this says of Singapore?
I think today, Singaporeans seems to be quite honest, about themselves. I think they are perhaps not afraid to admit, we are kiasu, we are self-centered a bit. Perhaps, it's also the perception, how they view, what they experience, on the day-to-day basis. Yeah.
I guess because in other countries, this study has also been done, and I guess each country comes out with different sort of key phrases. In the US example, it puts blame, bureaucracy, and wasted resources as the top 3 traits of society. While in Switzerland, it's quality of life, democratic process, and secrecy of the bank. So very different, I mean, it shows you, I guess, what's key in on people's minds at that point of time in their life.
Yes.
So you think it accurately reflects Singapore today?
I think, this is what Singaporeans, have picked, as how they see our society.
Were they given the same terms as the other countries that were surveyed?
Yeah, when the survey instrument is actually developed by the Barrett Value Centre. So we started out with that base, a list of words that's actually also used. So the words that you've actually mentioned, okay, they also are in the list of these 90 words. Okay, of course, there was some contextualization that we actually had. So then that's where we would have simplified, simplified some of the terms, to our context, and included words, like the kiasu, which is a very Singaporean term.
Right.
Of course.
But I guess we can still compare, because now we're just putting up on screen what were some of the other key phrases that came from the other countries. So it is almost an apple-for-apple kind of comparison in terms of the way the survey was conducted.
The majority of the list of words, was similar.
Yes, okay. So quite interesting. And there was some feedback also that perhaps some things were left out, though, like religious freedom, religious harmony, rule of law. Were these intentionally left out?
Well, as I mentioned, we started off with a base list, and there were other words, okay? For example, there were words like social cohesion inside, community pride inside, and we do admit, I mean, this is a first, study that's been done, not only for Singapore, I think it's also one of the first Asian countries beyond Bhutan, okay? But this is the first national type of survey, that's been done of this nature, yeah. Okay. So we are looking at, I mean, if we do repeat this in the future, I mean, we're happy to refine it and enhance the instrument.
Yeah. What interested you the most about the survey?
Well, I think we see strength in the survey instrument through our work at an organizational level. What's really interesting is that it doesn't only look at what people desire; it looks at what people perceive of the current society today. And once you have what's desired and what's perceived, you can actually identify gaps or priorities that people want to look into.
Yeah, well, with this information, what is intended? What are you going to do with it?
Well, actually, when we first started off, we see this as an extension of our work. We have a lot of public sector clients whom we work with very closely. A lot of this information we felt was very relevant in engaging our clients, to help them, better formulate policies. But on top of that, I guess the timing is perfect. Given there's this national conversation coming up, we'll be very happy to play an active role in this. Whether to be engaged ourselves or even facilitating the engagement at a grassroots level. Right.
Also with the survey, I mean, you mentioned there's a broad range of people that were surveyed. A large proportion of them were mainly Singaporeans, and the rest were Singapore residents or people living and working here, permanent residents in Singapore. Right. Any kind of an age demographic? Was it quite even across the spread as well?
Yeah, I think the results actually we looked at actually also the data across age from 15 onwards. The majority of the results were very similar, at least in the first top 5, 6, words, that were actually chosen. Of course, we can, there's always a, opportunity to look at the data, a little bit deeper. There are some subtle differences, across age. We also looked at the data across, house types, for example.
But nothing stood out. I'm just curious, what I'm getting at is, I guess, between the young and the older, was there a different impression of the country or different expectations of society?
At least amongst the top 5, I think, it was quite consistent. So actually we asked for the top 10 values. So maybe down the line, you see some subtle differences, but I wouldn't say it's major differences.
Right. Interesting.
Very interesting. Well, your UK counterpart in this survey, Phil Clothier from Barrett, said that some of the values chosen were potentially limiting to society's well-being. Can you explain what that means?
Some of the words on face value may seem negative. For example, things like, kiasuism, and being competitive, even self-centered and things. Barrett has adopted this methodology where the words are included to be provocative. It's not bad by nature. So, but they are known as potentially limiting because anything done to the extreme, as we can imagine. For example, being competitive, to many would be important, right? Where it comes to if you do it at being competitive to the extent that you bring harm to the rest of the people around you, then it's limiting from that perspective. So I guess what comes out of this survey is basically perceptions of what the society is today. What's really more important is the dialogue that takes place after that. So when people talk about competitive, talk about kiasu, and today we have people saying that kiasu is good, and then on the other hand you have a lot of other people who say they're otherwise.
Okay. So you can be a little bit kiasu, but not too much.
Finding the right balance. Thanks a lot, guys. Vincent Ho and Jacqueline Gwee, directors of aAdvantage Consulting, sharing with us some of their views about the survey findings, which showed that Singapore residents, what they value most and what they desire for society in the future.